What's up? Hey, hello, everyone. Wow. So today we are back. Not going to just be talking about Survivor, but today we are going to compare what is more difficult, Survivor or Big Brother. So my name is Rachel.
And I'm Alyssa, and we've been doing a lot of stuff talking about Survivor and other reality TV shows, but it's just like Survivor is obviously the superior reality TV show when compared to basically anything. So we like to talk about how much better Survivor is than everything else, which is why we're doing so many of these videos.
I think this video is going to be super interesting because I feel like both Big Brother and Survivor are difficult in different ways. So I think it's going to be interesting when we compare. We thought of 5 different things on what we're going to compare. So we have length of time, comfort, challenges, the social game, and then the strategic game, which we're going to compare Survivor and Big Brother. And I think each of them are difficult in different ways. So it's going to be interesting to talk about.
Yes, it is. So let's get started by talking about the length of time of each of the shows.
Yeah, so Survivor, we all know 39 days. And then for Big Brother, it's gotten longer. I believe for season 20 right now, they said 99 days. So that's like 3 months, which it's crazy. 3 months, like your entire summer locked in this one house with no connection to the outside world versus 39 days. So a little bit over a month on an island with no connection with the outside world.
Yeah, I feel like if you just go by numbers, then Big Brother is obviously the harder one because it's longer. But I feel like that kind of ties into like our second point that we're going to be talking about, which is the comfort, where it's like you're able to endure a longer length of time on a reality television show if you're comfortable than you can if you're like not comfortable. So
yeah, it's just interesting how the two different shows are formatted because just like Alyssa said, from straight looking at it, you'd be like, okay, 99 days with strangers, that's harder. And like, yes, in some regards it is. And then on Survivor, they have more of the like outdoor aspect. Whereas in Big Brother, yes, you can be a have not and everything, but you are still living under a roof and you won't get rained on if like, oh, it's tsunami season out in Fiji. So I think that's something definitely interesting to compare the two shows on. If you are like wanting to go play one of the shows, that's something that you have to be wary of. Like, oh, am I an outdoor person? Oh, can I poop in the water? Or like that kind of thing. Can I handle the heat? Can I handle the rain? Versus can I handle 24/7 being watched by the online live feeds, or can I be 24/7 stuck with these people in a confined house?
yeah, I feel like one of the things is too with Survivor, even if there aren't live feeds, there still are people following you around everywhere on the island, and you have no guarantee that the footage is or isn't going to be used, which I think is interesting because, like, we saw a couple seasons ago, we saw footage of someone pooping in the ocean. And so I bet when he was doing it at the time, he was like, oh, they're totally not going to use footage of me pooping. But no, no.
And I feel like that's scarier. Like Big Brother, you can say whatever you want, and then people could be watching on the live feeds, and they probably are watching on the live feeds. And then you could be totally dragged through the mud because something you said, which maybe you didn't mean to say, or maybe you totally did mean to say, is very offensive to a lot of people. And then that could totally ruin your life basically. Versus on Survivor, you might say something offensive and then it might not make the actual show if it's not important to the storyline. But certain things like that, like we saw with Will in White Collar, No Collar, Blue Collar, things like that do show up on the actual show. So in both situations, no matter the length of time, you have to be careful on how you're coming off to the camera, and what you're saying on the camera isn't going to make you America's most hated reality TV show star, basically.
Yeah, and I feel like because they do have to moderate themselves constantly for the 99 days, that's one of the things that makes Big Brother harder, just because, like, putting on a mask for any length of time is really difficult, and the longer you have to like retain that mask, whatever it is, the more like emotionally tolling it's going to be on you.
Yeah, especially because Big Brother, it's all live. And so it's like you don't have any privacy, whereas in Survivor, you know it's all pre-filmed, and then when you're watching the show after, when it's actually being aired, you might be nervous, like, oh, how did the editors portray me this season, kind of thing. Versus in Big Brother, you don't really know how the editors are portraying you. It's happening like in the moment. If you frick up, then you are fricking up in the moment, and you can't really hope that the editors just aren't going to, oh, include the footage because it's happening live. And I think that's interesting because you can go into the house thinking you're gonna be like, oh, most popular, win the stuff in the app store, but then you turn out to be like the least trending house guest this season. And I think that's really interesting. And yeah, no privacy when you're being 24/7 watched. And I think that's very difficult compared to Survivor. You know, they film freaking millions of hours of footage, and all that stuff isn't going to make it onto the show. So you sort of have like something to fall back on if you are like boring, or if you do say something bad, then you that might think it might not make the show, so your edit might not be as bad.
Yeah. The thing is with Big Brother, like I feel like part of the drama of the show is the fact that it's 24/7 live, just because it's like in Survivor, the drama is like dealing with the elements, and then in Big Brother, the drama is everything you say is being watched, which is like why the show got its name. So I feel like it's just kind of, which one are you more comfortable with? Are you more comfortable with being constantly monitored, or are you more comfortable maybe having a little more leeway, but having to do it like on an island in the middle of nowhere with no air conditioning, no roof over your head, and all of this other stuff?
Yeah, and I also think it's interesting because Big Brother is live, that they sort of need to have more round editing. Like, you need to cover everyone in the edit, or most of the people who are like in the front of the action. Yes, they do have the floaters and everything like that, but you need to be more well versed in your editing because you don't know who's going to win beforehand. Whereas in Survivor, with the editing, you know who's winning, so you can sort of edit the season to pinpoint the main characters. And then I feel like that's sort of a flaw, like we've seen with last season, how some people just don't get any airtime on Survivor. Alyssa, are you like frozen?
Yeah, that happens a lot lately. I think my family's Wi-Fi is just slowly dying. But yeah, more round editing is definitely a byproduct of like the 24/7 live stream. And I wish that we would have that more on Survivor. But
Definitely. So moving on to comfort is our next thing. It's both very different. Yes, in Survivor, you can win comfort, but you have to make your own shelter, everything like that. You're still battling the elements. Yes, you can get a tarp that can help the rain, but otherwise, you're still probably shivering and cold at night if it gets below comfortable temperatures for sleeping. Versus in Big Brother, you typically, always have a bed. You can be a have not and be forced to eat slop and whatever for the week. And I think that's a very interesting mental game for people. I wish we would see it more on like recent seasons of Big Brother, because I feel like there's less of an emphasis on the have nots recently versus in earlier seasons. Like, those people were tortured in those small, like, tarp kind of beds, or like the slop was so disgusting, and they would have the have not competitions, and it's like I liked watching those on Big Brother. Those were so fun to watch, and now there's less of an emphasis on, I feel like, the have nots. So I feel like with the have nots, you have a very interesting mental game on people when they are forced to, like, oh, sleep in a room with the lights on 24/7, versus in Survivor, everyone is sort of a have not, but you do get to eat like fish.
everyone's kind of on equal footing in Survivor,
Mhm.
except for like when they go on reward challenges, whereas on Big Brother, like they're intentionally put on unequal footing sometimes, which I think is interesting, and also kind of like determines how comfortable you are in the game, because it's like if you have not several times in a row, then it's like, well, sucks to be you.
Time to lose a bunch of weight. Because yeah, I don't know, it's interesting because I feel like Survivor did or has tried to do those things when they do give certain starting tribes like more stuff at the beginning versus less stuff at the beginning, and we've seen that on seasons. But I feel like on Survivor, that doesn't work because it just makes things inherently unequal. And then when you aren't having food, especially in Survivor, you're not going to do well in challenges, and then you'll probably won't win immunity. Versus on Big Brother, yes, with slop, you'll lose weight. And yes, it's probably not as good as getting all the free good food with cereal and meats and stuff. But it's less unequal. It's more of a mental thing, I feel like, with the have-nots on Big Brother versus people that just don't win anything on Survivor, so they never go on reward.
Yeah, and then it's like you see people on Survivor losing like crazy amounts of weight, because even the people who go on every reward in Survivor still end up losing like at least 10 pounds if they make it past the merge. And then it's like if you never go on any rewards, like there have been people who have lost like 20, 30. I think Big Tom lost like 50 pounds on Survivor, and it's like that's crazy. And I feel like people on Big Brother don't lose that kind of weight ever.
Yeah, or it's even like Survivor, you can get diseased. I saw an article, Kellen has like ringworm or some kind of parasite. And then same with Tony, when he won, he came back and was battling like for a year after the show with parasites in his digestive system. So it's like that's another thing. You could go on Survivor and play the game and then come back with diseases that sort of screw you over for a long time after, versus on Big Brother, you know you're not going to have any kind of disease from living in the house. Maybe like athlete's
Syphilis.
foot. But yeah. It's just cleaner, and especially, but you have to clean the house for yourself, but definitely better than like pooping in the ocean.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, the long-term health effects of Survivor are also definitely like worse. So I feel like Survivor is definitely less comfortable than Big Brother.
Yeah, so Survivor's more difficult in the comfort category, we would say. Moving on to challenges, I think this is very interesting because both Survivor and Big Brother definitely have very different challenges. I feel like Survivor, it's more physical and maybe mental with the puzzles. And then Big Brother, it's more like endurance challenges. 2 hours, you have to stand on something getting splat in the face with crap. And it's like sort of really gross. Or they have challenges that are like fastest time to finish a course. Or I really like the trivia challenges. So you really need to know what's happened this Big Brother season, who you're competing against, stuff like that. And I think, in a sense, I wish Survivor would do more of those endurance challenges where you're playing with your arm up like for 2 hours. I wish you would see that more, because I feel like the endurance challenges are more mental and those are more fun to watch, and they are more difficult for the contestants because it's like, okay, my legs are hurting, but I need to stand up here 2 hours in order to win, either like immunity or HOH or POV or whatever. And that's all in your brain.
Yeah, I feel like on Survivor, we've definitely seen the challenges become a little more formulaic, where it's like they have them run like an obstacle course of some sort that ends with them doing a puzzle. And then it's like we've talked a lot about how the puzzle is always like the great equalizer in Survivor. And so it's like I would like to see more not puzzle challenges. So like the one where they like have their arms strapped to like a bucket of water above their head, that's always been my favorite Survivor challenge, and I wish they would do like more of that. And I also think the trivia challenges that they did in like old Survivor was really cool, and also the like who knows the tribe mates the best.
Yeah, like I really like those challenges when they do the challenge, like how would the majority of the tribe vote for this? And then you can sort of see like, oh, when they ask the really weird, like interesting questions where they're like, who's the most hated on the tribe or who is least deserving to win Survivor, that really like messes things up in the season. And I think that's just so interesting because it really paints a target on certain people's backs. And they do that on Big Brother. And it's just fun to watch because people get really butthurt. And like, it's good to be butthurt. And then hopefully it'll light a fire under you to get stuff done in the season if people think you're maybe least deserving to win. And I don't know. So I think in that regards, like we're saying, yes, it's difficult to run the obstacle courses in Survivor when you're not eating, when you're not sleeping well, and it's probably difficult to do the puzzle if you're not in the right mindset. But I would like to see the more Big Brother challenges, like stand on something for 4 hours, like Tom and Ian. Let's see it. 12 hours. Let's go. Like, that's just so fun to watch. And you can imagine like how hurt your legs are going to be or your arm is going to be, but it's all sort of mental. Like, you need to win it, so you can't step down, and it's life or death. And in a situation where it is endurance like that, you sort of control everything in your own fate versus an obstacle course. Okay, maybe you can't swim as well as the person who's going to win the challenge, and that's sort of unfair, but maybe you should just be better at swimming. Who knows? But with endurance challenges, you have more of the fate in your own hands to win and not get voted out.
Yeah, I feel like endurance challenges are a lot more mind over matter. So
yeah, moving on to social game. Also very interesting. I think social game is more important in Big Brother. It seems like people want to keep, maybe the floaters, or it's easier to win Big Brother if you are in the middle and you're not really pissing people off on the sides, and then you can make it further and then you start making moves. And I guess similar goes for Survivor too. You let the big dogs fight it out at the beginning and you don't draw a target onto your back. But in both situations, if everyone just wants to play the middle of the road for until halfway through the season or the merge or the jury, whatever, then it's sort of boring to watch because all the good players get voted out early because they do want to take control and they do want to compete, which is sort of annoying. But I do think in Big Brother, because they are living together 24/7, social game does play more of an aspect. You don't want to keep people who are annoying, and you don't want to keep people who you hate, and you don't want to keep people who are going to beat you in the end or are super good at challenges or like outspoken.
Yeah, I feel like with choosing who to keep in Survivor, there's like a lot more layers than Big Brother. At least that's how I feel. But man, I do agree that like the whole big dogs battling it out thing is definitely something. I think we see that more in returning seasons of Survivor than like the new player seasons, because like we saw the big dogs from this past season, Wendell and Dom, were the ones who went to the end. So
yikes. Yeah, I think it's interesting because in Survivor, I guess this goes into strategic games sort of, but in Survivor, you never really know when you are a target. You could be blindsided and you could be idled out or whatever. So you could go to tribal not 100% comfortable because you're never that, but semi-comfortable that you aren't the target for the week, and then be blindsided, versus in Big Brother, 2 people are on the block every week, and you know if you're not one of the 2 people, and after the power of veto, if you aren't put up on the block, you know you aren't getting backdoored. There is going to be no blindside because one of the 2 people up there is going home, and it's more, I guess, better if you aren't on the block or aren't going to be backdoored or anything, because then you don't really have to worry about anything. And I think that makes people in Big Brother more willing to just play the middle of the road or float along, because only 2 people can be nominated every week, or 3 if their POV is used, whatever. So it's just like, if you aren't going to be on the block for a few weeks, like, you don't really need to put 100% into maybe winning a challenge or something like that, because you know you aren't at risk of going home. Versus in Survivor, you're 100% always at risk of going home. Tribe swap, you never know. You could be fricked over in a tribe swap. You might lose this immunity challenge and you could be in the majority and still get voted out by an idol or something. So Survivor, I think it's more, you don't know when you're going to go home, versus Big Brother, you can sort of tell after POV that it's one of the 2 going home.
Yeah, I feel like one of the things is with Survivor, whenever someone declares, I'm not going home tonight, that is the episode where they get voted out. So like I think that definitely knowing that you're not going to be able to go home is like a psychological comfort. I feel like because constantly being on edge for all 99 days would be so hard. So I feel like definitely, like you said, it opens it up more to playing the middle of the road and being more like safe just for a little while.
Yeah, and I guess Survivor, you can be safe if you win the immunity challenge. But even if your tribe isn't going to tribal, how the other tribe votes still affects how your game can be played. Because say it's after a tribe swap and your best ally gets voted out at this tribal, and you see people wanting to throw immunity challenges because they have like a majority on their side. So it'd be like, oh, an easy vote. And then it still backfires, even though they do save the person on the other tribe because they didn't go to tribal and would probably have been the person voted out.
Yeah, I feel like throwing challenges. Ugh. I feel like also with Survivor, there's like definitely more of a team mentality. And I feel like Big Brother, like you can make alliances, but it is still very much an individual game from the beginning to the end. Whereas with Survivor, it's like you're kind of forced to get along with your tribe, at least for a little bit, because if you can't work together, then you can't win.
Yeah, and I feel like Big Brother, things change more quickly because you see one week maybe one alliance is in power, next week the other alliance is in power, or maybe someone's in power and then you never really know what's going to happen. Versus in Survivor, we can sort of predict how things might go versus like who's working together. But in both cases, you can't really know who's going to go home next week, which is really interesting. It just depends who's lucky and who's not lucky.
Yeah, I feel like part of the longer duration of Big Brother is that it allows for more power switches. Whereas, like, because of the way Survivor is set up, like, there's not that long in between each vote. So it's harder for a different group to gain power in those, like, 3 days.
Yeah, and especially with Big Brother, how one person, if they win like HOH and then POV, they literally hold all the power in the house unless there's some kind of twist or whatever, but they hold all the power. And then you see everyone else going up there to like kiss butt and try to get their way or try at least to curry favor to not get put on the block, where you don't see that on Survivor. No one's like kiss butting up to certain people unless
Laurel.
unless maybe they are like the head of the alliance and you want to kiss butt. But I feel like people on Big Brother are more fake versus on Survivor, people might just lie straight to your face, but it's not like a fake thing like, hey, like I won't vote you out this week if you don't vote me out next week kind of thing. So it's just, I don't know, different in that sense. In Survivor, people are more straight up, I feel like.
Yeah, I feel like with Survivor, like, there is some degree of lying, but you don't really have the time or mental energy to, like, spin people in circles for like weeks at a time the way
Yeah.
you do in Big Brother.
And
I
it's
feel
not
like
like, yeah, go ahead.
the lies can be a lot more complex in Big Brother just because you have more time to develop them and you have more time to enact your plan. And like I said, you have more energy with which to like actually lie to people.
Yeah, and with the whole power thing, it's not like one person in Survivor is always going to kiss butt to certain people. And I think it's sort of annoying when these people don't like each other, but they have to go and kiss butt because, oh, this other person they hate is in power. But in order to win the game, you have to just put down whatever you're thinking and go kiss butt. I don't know. I feel like that's hard, but that's the game. And you have to do that in order to get further in the game. Versus Survivor, you like don't really have to kiss butt, but if like your alliance member is voted out, you have to pretend like you aren't super crazed butthurt about it. But it's not like you're going to the person that voted them out and it's like, oh, I want to work with you now, or like let's make a deal.
Yeah, it's definitely more like you have to manage your emotions better on Survivor, I feel like, because in Big Brother, if you have like a big blow up fight, it's like part of the drama, but in Survivor, that can like literally ruin your game forever.
Yeah, so this is our comparison of Survivor and Big Brother. Let us know what what reality TV show you think is more difficult. Very exciting. Big Brother back on Sunday. I'm excited. Tyler was on TKO. I couldn't watch TKO this week because it was so bad last week, so I just couldn't. But yeah, that's the update. We have the Survivor premiere released in September. They have that date out, so that's very exciting. We have like 2 months left. August, September. Yeah, until the Survivor season 37, so that's fun.
Yeah, and we'll be doing another Survivor video next week, just as we always do. And we will see you guys then. Bye.
Bye.